Hey guys, what's going on? It's the Mad Tiger here. I'm up here today guys, it's Sunday, but we're uploading a video today. I thought about this video last night and I thought, you know what? Let's do it. Today guys, we are doing sort of a, I wouldn't call this a buying guide as such, but we're talking about a system today, and I'm showing off my collection as well because I don't have a ton of games for it. And today guys, we are asking the question, is the PlayStation 3 worth it still in 2018? Now, with the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One still sort of being the main focus in the today's gaming society, as well as the Switch and PC, but you know, a lot of people often forget about the good old PlayStation 3. Now, there are three models of the PlayStation 3, and what I'm holding here is one of the original models, which again is a massive console. This thing weighs a ton. It's huge. Excuse the bad turtle beak thing on it, but this thing is huge. I mean, look at the size of this thing. This is almost as big as my Xbox One. It's important to note there's three different models of the PlayStation 3. There's this one, which was the first fat model, then there was a slim model, and then a super slim, and each of them have their own different things about them. You know, the PlayStation 3 original, which was this one, if you had the 40 gig model, it would actually play PlayStation 2 games. You could open this little flap here, and it would have a memory card unit and a PlayStation 2 controller unit, which I think is awesome, and I would like to have one of them, but for the most part I can play on my PlayStation 2. But we're not here to talk about PlayStation 2, we're here to talk about the mighty PlayStation 3. Now, it's also important to note that you can play PlayStation 1 games on the PlayStation 3, which is awesome. So you can sort of go back and play the classics again if you don't want to use your PlayStation 2, or if you don't own a PlayStation 2 or a PlayStation 1 per se. You can actually play them on your PS3, which again I think is awesome. Like I said, each model has its own quirks and good and bad things about it. Of course, this model is too big and takes up a lot of room, and it was actually prone to overheating, which did not happen to me, but I think if you're one of these people that actually sat there and played it for hours on end and leave your console on and stuff, what do you expect? The consoles aren't designed to be left on for hours and hours. They're meant to be played in good chunks of time, and you know, me being how I am now, I don't play consoles for nearly as long as I used to. But the PlayStation 3 is a system that I don't really talk a lot about on my channel, but I thought today, guys, we would talk about it, because a lot of people sit there and question, you know, the PlayStation 3, is this thing still worth it? You know, there's PS4s out now, and you know, I grew up with the PlayStation 1 and the PlayStation 2. Of course, my favourite console of all time is the PlayStation 2. I think that shows from my collection, you know, just how big of a system, you know, PlayStation 2 was. When PlayStation 3 came out, I didn't have, I had an Xbox 360 beforehand, but my brother got a PS3, and I remember playing some PS3 games back in the day. In fact, to get this PlayStation 3, this has got some history behind it, I ended up selling my Xbox One at the time, and ended up getting a PlayStation 3, which seems extremely stupid, yes I know, and it was one of those stupid things that I did when I was younger, and sort of regret it now that I'm older. But it doesn't matter now that I've got, you know, I've got Xbox One, I've got PS3, so I've got all the systems anyway. I don't really pick many games up for the PlayStation 3 anymore, so today we've got a collection video, but it's a sort of a more to show off sort of some games that are on the PlayStation 3, sort of like a beginner's guide, so to say. So if you're in two minds whether to get PS3, hopefully this video might help you out. I think the PlayStation 3 has some good things about it and some bad things. One of the bad things about it is that compared to the Xbox 360, most people had an Xbox 360 over a PS3 because of the Xbox Live service was so much better than the PlayStation 3, you know, PlayStation Network. Yes, you didn't need to subscribe to PlayStation Plus to play online like you did with the PS4 back in the day, but I think most people were playing on Xbox Live, playing on the Xbox 360, and again, as for the actual games, the multi-platform games, PlayStation 3 wasn't as powerful as the Xbox 360. So the Xbox 360 version was often considered to be the better version of a game. Again, it's not entirely noticeable by, if you were sat there playing the PS3 version, but if you were to compare them side by side, you would notice differences, which again, if you want to do that, then fair enough. But at the same time, if you don't care, PlayStation 3 has you covered, because there's a ton of great games on the system, and I do not collect multi-platform games for the PlayStation 3. I collect them for the Xbox 360. However, I do collect exclusives, and there is a ton. I have here a ton of Sony exclusives and some third-party exclusives to the PlayStation 3. When I say exclusives, they might have come out on the PC or something, but I'm talking about in terms of it's not on Xbox 360. Another thing that I didn't really necessarily like was the PlayStation 3 controller. I don't like these triggers here, just because they sort of feel they like drop off. When you're playing it, you don't really notice it, but if you sit there and actually analyze it compared to the PlayStation 4 or PlayStation 3 controller, I think the PlayStation 2 controller, in my opinion, is the best controller of all time. Definitely much better than the PlayStation 3 controller. It's not terrible, but again, this is a third-party controller anyway. It's not terrible, but at the same time, it's not perfect. So be aware that I think personally the PlayStation 3 controller can use a bit of work, but once you sort of get into it, you can sort of play it. And yeah, I'm quite a fast gamer now. I can sort of play these games pretty fast. If you were there in my live stream yesterday when we did on Mixer, you would have heard my complaints. But question is the PlayStation 3 still worth anything in 2018? So, like I said, there's no games are really being made for PlayStation 3 anymore. You've got to understand, guys, it's 2018. PS5, Xbox 2, I guess, is on the way, if not next year, the year after. And, gaming now is crazy. Some of the games we're getting are amazing. God of War, Jump Force coming out, Red Dead Redemption 2, Forza Horizon 4, Gran Turismo Sport, I can go on and on and on, and there's a ton of great games out there nowadays, and again, some lesser known ones as well, Rise of Rock 4. But you've got to understand, guys, back in the day, PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 used to sort of be a proper competitor, and I don't really know who won that war. If I was to sit here and say who won it, I'd say possibly Xbox 360 in terms of more people owning it, but in terms of exclusive games, I think PlayStation 3 had better exclusive content, and I still think to this day PlayStation 4 has better exclusives. And I'm not talking about the main exclusives like the Sony or Microsoft exclusives. I'm talking about the third-party exclusive games. But if you want to get a PlayStation 3 nowadays, it's a good time to get one, because the games and the consoles are dirt cheap. You can get a PlayStation 3 for about between 40 to 60 pounds these days. If you want the best model, you're going to pay a little bit more. But if you want a basic model like I have, get yourself an external hard drive or something, and boom, there you go. You don't have to install the games on PlayStation 3. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. So be aware that you don't need a lot of space for a PlayStation 3, but definitely the more the better. Again, I think the PlayStation 3 today still, I don't play it that much because it's not set up. Until I get my house set up properly and get all these new TV cabinets and all the consoles set up and ready to play, I don't think I'm going to be touching the PlayStation 3. But if I had the wires down here, I'd probably give it a go now, actually, to be honest. But the wires are upstairs somewhere and I can't remember where they are. I do know where they are, but I need to find them. That being said, guys, I think the PlayStation 3 is a great time to start collecting for it, because like I said, they're not really making any more games for PlayStation 3 apart from sports games, maybe a Lego game here and there, and some digital games. Not many games, maybe like 10 or so a year, I guess, for the PlayStation 3 compared to PS4 and stuff like that. So it's getting a lot easier to try and get the games for the PlayStation 3 now, because Like I said, they're not making any more really. They sort of are, but they sort of end, at least to my knowledge. And I think, again, the games are dirt cheap. A lot of these JRPGs that are on the PlayStation 3 are a lot cheaper now. You could go into CEX with about 30, £40, come out with about 5, 10 PlayStation 3 games, and there you go. You're building your collection up and you've got some games to play. But yeah, that's enough about the console. Let's get into some games. Now, this is my entire collection here. Not a lot, but up first, guys, we have these aren't all of them, but these are some of the Sony exclusive titles. So games that were published by Sony and only on the PlayStation 3. Some of them are on PS4 now. Be aware that they have made HD collections, and I'll let you know which ones have. So up first we have Little Big Planet. Now this was a very creative game back in its day, and they still are making it to this day. And basically it was a platformer, and you could basically create levels. The creativity in this game was amazing. I remember having a lot of fun playing some of the created levels back in the day on this game. The second one I think on PS3, and the third one's on PS4. There's one on PSP and there's one on PS Vita. Really good game. Again, you can get this for about £1 nowadays. I don't know how much creative content you can get on this one now. I highly doubt people are still making it for this game, but you might be able to download some and stuff like that. But still, amazing, great series, fun stuff. Then we go on to another series which I have all three of them. Resistance. So we have Fall of Man, Resistance 2, and I have here the special edition of Resistance 3. I've only played a little bit of the first game, and it's made by Insomniac Games. Now, I think Insomniac Studios, I'm sure they make the Mortal Kombat game and the Injustice game, I think. And this is a sort of a first-person shooter, sort of mixed between sci-fi, horror, set in this sort of dystopian future, humanity against the Chimera, I think they're called. I remember playing a little bit of the first one. The first one definitely hasn't aged very well, but I don't know so much about the second and third one. But this is an exclusive first-person series. If you're a fan of, first-person sci-fi action sort of, games like that. Then we have a series that is on the PS4. You can get their HD collection, and that is Uncharted. We have Drake's Fortune, Honor Among Thieves, and Drake's Deception, which I think is the best out of the trilogy. These games are amazing. I've played all of them on the PS4. I played a little bit of the PS3 versions, but whether you play the PS4 HD version or the PS3 version is up to you. I'd recommend the PS4 version because it's all on one disc, and again, but these are dirt cheap now. You can get all three of these games for less than £3. These are about 50p a pound each. So really great series, great action, adventure, third person game. It's got everything you need. It's got puzzles, it's got chase scenes, it's got shooting scenes, driving scenes. It is a great game, great story, great cinematic experience, as well as a great game series. Amazing series, love Uncharted, looking forward to see if they do a new one. Then we have if you're a fan of simulated racing games, we have Gran Turismo. Now I have 2 copies of the Academy Edition, but one of them has the Academy Edition disc and one of them has a Gran Turismo 5 disc. So I do have all of the games, I just need to change the cover art for this. Now Gran Turismo, again, is Sony's sort of branded game series on the PlayStation. It was on the PS1, it was on the PS2, PS3, and then of course on the PS4. These games are known for being long games. There's so much different cards in them, great graphics, great gameplay, really realistic, awesome game series. I think 4, in my opinion, is the best one. I'm quite biased because of PS2, but I played a little bit of 5 back in the day, but really great game series. If you enjoy simulators, Gran Turismo, you can't really go wrong with it. Then we have another first-person shooter that Sony brought out, and that is Killzone. We have Killzone 2 and 3. You can get the first one on PS3 as part of a trilogy box set which comes with all three of them, but I think the first one with the code, I'm not entirely sure. First one was on PS2. I've played a little bit of Killzone Shadowfall, which I wasn't very happy with, but I've heard these ones are better than Shadowfall. Again, sort of a first-person shooter, sci-fi themed, sort of futuristic shooters, modern slash futuristic shooters. Really, I've heard good things about these series. These were quite big. This was sort of one of Sony's sort of online games that they really put a lot of time into the online. Then we have God of War 3. God of War 1 and 2 was on the PS2, and then 3 and Chains of Olympus and Ascension, which were PSP games, were also on the PS3, and you can get a box set with all 5 of them in one. Great hack and slash series, really fun to play, great storylines, and of course the new one again sort of took it in a new direction, which a lot of people loved, and I haven't actually really played much God of War. I played a little bit of the first one, but these are great hack and slash, brutal games, really good games. Then we have another series that was exclusive to PlayStation, and that is Infamous. I only have the first one, unfortunately, but these games were basically like, you have superpowers and you can basically choose to be a good guy or a bad guy. So how you use those powers is up to you. You can use them for good or you can use them for bad. And I thought that was really cool. I haven't actually played this yet. I think I might have tried it out, but I've heard good things about Infamous, and of course Second Son and Last Light were on PS4. A lot of people are asking for a new one. We might see a new one, but definitely if you like sort of superhero style games, definitely check out Infamous. And then we have another great racing series on the PlayStation 3, and that is MotorStorm. I have MotorStorm 1 and Pacific Rift, and these are sort of arcadey sort of, arcadey racing games with dirt bikes, buggies, big trucks and stuff like that. Fast racing games, non-realistic, really cool racing games. Definitely check them out if you're a fan of arcade racers, because these are amazing. Here are some Sony, now I have some Sony games that weren't necessarily just Sony first party games. These were sort of individual games that were exclusive for PlayStation 3 but not really part of a series or anything. So up first we have Heavenly Sword. This was a launch title for the PlayStation 3, and from what I've heard, it's very sort of much like a mix between God of War and Dynasty Warriors, and I've heard good things about this game. How well it holds up to this day, I don't know, but this is another sort of hack and slash game if you're a fan of hack and slash games. Then we have a series that really took a horrible turn, and that is a SOCOM. I never really played much SOCOM back in the day, but I am aware of the fan base that SOCOM had, and SOCOM was a tactical shooter, and it was very well known on the PlayStation for the online capabilities. Being able to talk to your friends online back in the day was quite irregular. It's standard by today's standards, but his Special Forces, I haven't played it myself, but I did hear that after the PlayStation 2 games they sort of gave up, and we haven't heard nothing from SOCOM. I think the studio shut down, but Sony could bring it back. They could, but I don't know if they are. Now here's another fantastic series on the PlayStation, Ratchet and Clank. Now here's Tools of Destruction. There were about 3 or 4 on the PlayStation 3. I think Ratchet and Clank as a series is an awesome platformer slash action slash third person shooter game. Really good game, lots of funny moments in the game, great graphics, great game. There was about 6 or 7 on the PS2. Like I said, I don't know how many there were in total, but of course really good series, and yeah, you can really have a lot of fun with Ratchet and Clank. Here we have sort of an oddball game, and that is Warhawk, which essentially it looks to me like this was an online only game, and PlayStation 3 has about about 3 or 4 of these games that were online only, and unfortunately the servers have shut down, so the games aren't really worth much. But again, it's interesting to have some of these exclusive, online games back in the day, and this is sort of like it looks like a Battlefield or a SOCOM tactical online game, with planes, vehicles, you know, soldiers, that sort of thing. I don't know if the servers are still up to this day, but I highly doubt it. Then we have another game called Leia, and I believe this is a sort of dragon themed game where you sort of can play on the ground, and you can also control a dragon. Sorry, I don't know too much about them because I haven't played them myself, but I can't remember if this game was any good. But again, it was a Sony title, so it's exclusive. If you're a fan of Formula 1 games, here's Formula 1 Championship Edition. This was the Sony branded Formula 1 game, because remember back how I've said in my PS2 collections to be aware, because there are Sony Formula 1 games and there are the EA Formula 1 games, so be aware that I think that's still going to this day. I'm not entirely sure, but if you're a fan of Formula 1 games, here's a Sony branded one. Here's another early title, and it's called Pain, and basically I think this version, the physical version, originally it was a digital game, an early digital game, and essentially what this game is, it's basically Angry Birds, so to say. You have this little guy in a catapult and you shoot him out, and you have to sort of, do damage to things, cause chaos, hurt yourself. It's a really interesting game. It's pretty funny. It's an old game, like I said, but this version is basically the definitive version, which comes with, all the DLC on the disc and stuff like that, which is awesome. I haven't played it myself, but I've seen gameplay of it, and it looks pretty fun. Every system needs a kart racer, so here's Mod Nation Racers. I believe this was actually made by some of the same people who worked on Little Big Planet. I can't remember, but it's a kart racing game, a Sony kart racing game. I remember this game being quite popular back in the day, and I don't know how well it is still to this day, but it looks pretty fun, and you can create your own tracks and things like that. So yeah, if you're a fan of like Mario Kart style racing games, check it out. Again, here's another great series continued on the that was really known on the PlayStation, Metal Gear Solid 4. Haven't played Metal Gear Solid 4 yet, but this game was very notorious for having, about 70% of the game is cutscenes. So if you're fans of games that don't have cutscenes and just purely gameplay, don't check out Metal Gear Solid. But if you're people that care about story, definitely check out Metal Gear Solid. And Metal Gear Solid 4 was sort of like the sort of end to the series, the stealth series. And this game actually had online back in the day. It's not the last Metal Gear Solid game, but what I mean, I think it's the last in the sort of Solid Snake series. So yeah. Then we have Heavy Rain. Now again, Sony and Quantum Dreams, I think they're called Quantum Dreams. Yeah, Quantic Dreams. They basically made a ton of these cinematic sort of games, where the game is essentially, you're like watching a film, and then you have to do, like a button combination or make some choices, and it affects how the game plays out. I think this one's basically based around, there's a killer, and basically I think he takes your daughter or something, and you're a police, so you have to sort of go after this guy. And there's a ton of these now. There's Heavy Rain, there's Beyond Two Souls, there's Until Dawn, and the new Detroit Become Human. I haven't played many of these games, but I've heard good things about them. Here's PlayStation's answer to Nintendo's Smash Brothers, and this is PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale. This was interesting because it was a game that you could actually play on the PS Vita and play it with people on the PS3, which was awesome. And this game's got about 20, 30 characters from Sony games. So you've got characters from Tekken in here, Jak and Daxter, Killzone, Nathan Drake's in it, Kratos. There's some there's some characters that are from other sort of multi-platform games such as Bioshock, Metal Gear Rising, like I said, Tekken as well. It isn't as good as Smash Bros, but it's still pretty fun. Then we have Starhawk. I believe this was more than only a big multiplayer game. It's not a multiplayer game only. It does have single player, and it's basically like a third person sort. I think it's third person sort of. I think it's sort of like a sci-fi / Battlefield style game, and I don't know how good this game is, but definitely another one there. Now we're getting into, now here's all of the third-party exclusives, so games that weren't published by Sony. When I say published, you know, have the little Sony logo right there. These are third-party games from other developers that were only on the PlayStation 3. Now, like I said, they might be on PC and things like that, and they might be on other systems now, but at the time they were exclusive, and some of them still are. So up first we have J-Star's Victory versus Plus. This is a fighting series with just characters from all these different animes. You've got One Piece in here, you know, Dragon Ball Z, you've got Bleach, Naruto, there's someone from Fist of the North Star there, some characters from Kuroko no Basket. I don't know every single character because I don't watch anime nearly as much as what I used to, and I haven't played this game yet, but I have watched Kevin play it, and it looks pretty awesome. It sort of plays similar to like the Dragon Ball Z fighting games, and Jump Force is the new one basically, and this is also on PS4, so if you want to get the better version, get the PS4 version, but still, if you're a fan of anime, this is one of those games. Then we have a sealed copy of Tokyo Jungle. This is a Japanese game. It's still sealed. Basically, it's a game where you play as animals, and you're set in this, you know, future where you only play as animals, and you have to sort of like hunt other animals and survive. I got the Japanese version. I'm told it works on the PS3. I haven't tried it yet, but you couldn't get the English version because the English version was part of a series, and well, not really a series, part of a compilation with like 4 games in it, and yeah, so that's basically why I got this version, but still haven't played it, but you can play it on PlayStation now. Then we have Sengoku Basara Samurai Heroes. I know this was also on the Wii as well, but this is basically you know, Capcom's answer to Dynasty Warriors or Samurai Warriors, and it's actually really fun. I really had a good time with this game, and it would be cool to see if they bring it back. Really fun game if you like hack and slash Dynasty Warriors. There were a ton of these HD trilogies released on PlayStation 3, and here's the Prince of Persia trilogy, which I've already talked about being as one of my favourite PlayStation 2 series. Love these games, and if you want to play them on PlayStation 3 you can with this box set, and you can even play them in 3D as well. I've got here one of these JRPGs, and there's a ton of them on PlayStation 3, so if you're a fan of JRPGs, PlayStation 3 is definitely for you. This is a longer video today, but again, you know, I don't mind doing a longer video today. And yeah, this is called Agarist Generations of War. I don't know much about it, but it definitely looks like it's you know, a traditional JRPG. Then we have Haze. This was the game that basically caused Free Radical to shut down. I don't know the exact story behind it. I think it was because a lot of people, they wanted it to be bigger than what it was, and it sort of bombed. It's a first-person shooter. Again, you can play the campaign with co-op, single player, and it had online, but unfortunately this game has a bad stinge around it, because it's basically why Time Splitters 4 never came out basically. But well, we've already know what's happening with Time Splitters now, so hopefully we might get it. Here's a non-exclusive game, but an example of a reason to have the PS4, a free version, and that is Soul Calibur 4. Again, fighting series, we all love Soul Calibur, and if you got the PS3 version, it came with Darth Vader, whereas if you got the Xbox 360 version, it came with Yoda. I think they released them both anyway on the store, so you could get them either way, but still, it's nice to have this Darth Vader themed cover, the darker cover. So here's a cover variant, but again, great fighting series. And then we get on to my sort of favourite series of all time. We have the Dynasty Warriors series. Dynasty Warriors is out on, you know, Xbox and stuff, but most of the time they released the games on Sony platforms, mainly because a lot of the games came out in Japan, and then, you know, the rest of the world got them on the PlayStation console. But again, that's a different thing. So we have Dynasty Warriors 7 Empires. So 7 Empires was only released on the PlayStation 3. Again, again, I enjoyed this game. I think it's a great game. I love the series. Then we have Extreme Legends 7, which again was only on the PlayStation 3. And then I have Extreme Legends 8 on the PS3. Again, this game is on the PS4 as the complete edition, which comes with 8 and Extreme Legends in one game. But you could get 8 Extreme Legends on PS3, and again, I've got it in the wrong case. And here's one of my favourite games on the PlayStation 3, Dynasty Warriors Gundam Reborn. This game is amazing. It still is in my PS3 at the moment, actually, so remind me to get that out. But I love the Dynasty Warriors Gundam series, and this one is absolutely crazy. It's one of the best games I've ever played. And speaking of Gundam, there were a ton of Gundam games made, and here's one on the PS3 that's exclusive, at least to my knowledge. Mobile Suit Gundam Target inside. Yeah, next game. So guys, there we have it. That's my PS3 collection, and also I hope that guy gives you a sort of knowledge or a reason to get a PS3. So yeah, the PlayStation 3, is it still worth it to this day? I think it is. I think the PlayStation 3 has a lot to offer in terms of great games. It is unfortunate, well, it is and it isn't. There's a lot of PlayStation 3 games that are coming out on PlayStation 4. So again, if you want to play some of these PlayStation 3 games that you missed out on and you don't have a PlayStation 3, there are ways of playing it. You've got PlayStation Now, and you've got the PlayStation 4 versions of the game. But there's a ton still out on there that haven't been released on any other system. And like I said, that's why I showed you the games. But anyway guys, PlayStation 3, I just thought I'd show it a bit of love in today's video. We don't normally upload on Sunday, but I thought I'd do it for you guys. Really happy with how things are going so far. PlayStation 3 guys, I think it's still worth it in 2018. Really cheap to collect for, and yeah, definitely a great system. If you're a fan of PlayStation, you can't miss out on the PlayStation 3. Anyway guys, a bit of a longer video today, so I hope that doesn't you know, turn you off or anything, but you've got to understand when I'm doing videos like this, you know, I'll try and keep it a bit longer. And yeah, anyway guys, if you enjoyed today's video and you want to see more videos like this, feel free to leave a like and comment below. Let me know what you think the PlayStation 3, I'm going to have to edit those two bits together, for fuck's sake. Do you think the PlayStation 3 is worth it? And I personally think the PlayStation 3 still is worth it. And do let me know also if you want to see more videos like this on other systems. I definitely will do it. And again guys, feel free to subscribe if you haven't already and join the family. And of course, feel free to check me out on Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, and if you want to support the channel, feel free to check out the Patreon and Streamlabs in the links below. And thanks for watching guys. Have a nice day, and I'll see you tomorrow with a review. I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to review yet, but it's Monday. Oh, sorry, important note. No introduction videos because the intro creator that I had on my phone and tablet was actually causing my phone and tablet to open up ads even if I weren't in the game. So I don't know why it was doing that. It was probably a bug. So I've deleted it, so I'm going to have to try that again in the future. But anyway guys, thanks for watching. Take care.